As we get closer to the end of another year, many mothers begin to reflect on the year that was and what they wish for themselves and their families. I choose a word each year for myself, and in 2024, the word is intentional. Intentional about my decisions around work, family, health, self-care. And whilst I know I did fulfill intentionality around many aspects of my life, I want to acknowledge that life is not linear and therefore it could never always go to plan. Let's be clear, mothering is one of the hardest roles we will ever adopt. If there is ever a time in our life when we were able to witness our humanness, strengths, flaws, vulnerabilities, and values, it's motherhood. In my experience, when a woman is asked what she expected from becoming a mother, she will almost always revert to either her birth story or the nature and behaviours of her child and how that relates to her motherhood. The conversation is usually heavily child-centric, as if her identity as a mum is based entirely on her child's experience and not hers. But we know that becoming a mother does not solely happen as a result of birthing a baby from our body. Not in the truest sense, anyway. Becoming a mother is a process, a journey, if you like, and it takes time and absorption, practice and reabsorption. Not all mothers will feel love at first sight. Whilst it might be true that a mother's love is one of the deepest loves that can be felt, one that is non-conditional and multifaceted, we do not want to over-glorify the role of a mother at the risk of creating an unattainable standard of what it means to be a loving mother. Sure, a mother is said to wear many hats. Her daily tasks are endless as she pays attention and responds to the individual needs of her children and even the small nuances in her child's personalities. However, the love and connection we have with our children is actually a relationship. And like any relationship, no party should find that their needs are consistently at the bottom of the pile. Our children need to know that we love them dearly, and they also need to know that they are part of a family and a larger community. So whether you felt that you truly became a mother the moment you became pregnant, the moment you met your baby, or whether that was much later, you were entering into a new relationship, a mother-child bond, one that should be mutually rewarding and open to being flawed. There will be ambivalence, which is somewhat conflicting feelings. And maternal ambivalence, you may ask? Yes, and maternal ambivalence. Let's look at some examples of how this can play out in our mothering. Maternal ambivalence is generally an internally focused feeling, but it's weighed against external pressures and expectations, and these are usually unrealistic. For example, we might love mothering on the whole and embrace it, but have an internal fight for the desire to escape from it sometimes, especially the monotony and the constant giving. And this is how it might sound. Oh, I wish I could just be my own self again, without children, just be spontaneous and carefree, not having to think about another human's needs. And then we quickly follow it up with, oh, but I wouldn't change motherhood for anything. I can't imagine life without my kids. Or we might say, I don't really have maternal instincts. Oh, but I love my baby with all my heart. Have you heard this style of language? struggling to hold space for what seems like two completely opposing sentiments, and then resorting to the one that is the most socially acceptable. Other phrases a mum will often avoid for fear of judgment are, I'm not enjoying this, I'm exhausted, I'm not cut out for this, I don't want to be a mother, I need a break from my children, I can't do mothering today, I feel angry, I feel rage, I'm the worst mum. Ambivalence is exploring these common and natural feelings with compassion and reasonableness, and without judgment from those around us, but even from ourselves. If we don't normalize ambivalence, then we are perpetuating the myth that mothers need to be perfect martyrs. And that is not helpful to our growth as women, nor it is helpful for our children to witness, and even other mothers and the wider community to internalise. Let's open space to be real about mothering, to facilitate a more fulfilling version of motherhood, one that is filled with joy, possibility, and contentment. Alexandra Sachs, a motherhood psychiatrist, says, when you preserve a separate part of your identity, you're also leaving room for your child to develop their own. So how can we identify some of these unrealistic external expectations that are placed on mothers? I'm going to give a few examples of the messages that we receive as mothers, whether that is vocally or silently. And then I'll follow it up with what the actual truth is. So we'll begin with the message. Mothering is the work of one woman in a nuclear family, independent of extended relatives and community. What's the truth? Many ancient cultures teach us that mothering was never designed to be done alone. Alloparenting, which is a mothering style performed by many women, is a commonplace in Indigenous communities. Colonisation and industrialisation introduced this modern change of mothering in isolation. Message: women have plenty of choice. When it comes to employment, they can choose their hours and conditions. Truth: this is not often the case. She might be told that there is choice, but in reality, she is either working part-time but feeling like she's still putting in full-time hours, or she might be job sharing but never really feeling like she's able to switch off. She's also expected to work as if she doesn't have children and separate her two worlds. So where is the choice in that? Next message. A stay-at-home mum is the most celebrated role in the world. Truth. In some cultures, this may ring true, but mostly a mother can never win. The dedication and hours she puts in as a stay-at-home mum is the most undervalued and unrewarded role in the world. She often feels as though she could not even ask for a break from mothering, as she is technically not working because, after all, she's just a mum. Message: all good mothers put their children's needs above their own. As long as their children are healthy and happy, they will be too. Truth: putting your needs equal to your child's is actually being a good mother. It is a gift, and probably the best gift you will be able to give to your children. Message: we tell a mother she has the freedom to do it all. Yes, the truth is she can pursue a career or further education. She can be in paid employment. But the reality is it is still women who are doing the majority of the home duties and parenting as if she wasn't working. She works in the home as if she is not in paid employment. Message: if a mother is struggling, she can ask for help. Truth: Women don't feel as though they have permission to ask for help until they are broken, and then they believe that it is their fault. Many mothers become depressed and shrouded in bewilderment, frustration, and shame, and believe they're missing the mark on what it means to be a good mother. Asking for help shows vulnerability, and vulnerability is not celebrated in our society. Let's be clear, it takes more courage in today's world to ask for help than to remain silent. It is also not the responsibility of the mother to add another thing to her ever-growing to-do list. But if help is not being volunteered, let's normalize asking for help as a strength and not a weakness. Let's shine the light on perfectionism in motherhood. Perfectionism in motherhood is like a poison that can rob us of peace, joy, and compassion. It's a lie that we tell ourselves to avoid criticism, blame, shame, and it's a destination that just does not exist. Our children are not calling us to be perfect. They are calling us in to be present, and not all of the time. Perfectionism is a learnt behaviour, and so in an effort to meet every perceived need of our child every day, we may inevitably be role modelling to them that they need to be perfect as well. Guilt is linked to perfectionism and can have a healthy place in mothering if it is grounded in conscience, and it can serve as information that guides our way. Shame, on the other hand, is mostly unhealthy as it focuses on condemnation of being a bad person rather than just somebody that is learning from a less than perfect decision. A more helpful life lesson is to demonstrate the authenticity of ourselves as a whole person, to not be afraid to fail, to take healthy risks to achieve our goals, to give things a go, to laugh at oneself, to be okay with not being good at everything, to let go of things, to change our mind, and to know our worth without the titles. One way we can do this is to play with our children. Intentional time to play cultivates a life of being present and joyful. A time to accomplish nothing. Moments you get to be lost in. Moments that you don't want to end. This shows our children that we do not have to be doing all of the time, and that we value downtime and unity as a family. Creativity encourages us to enjoy the process rather than just the end result. We are all creative, even if we don't think so. By cultivating creativity, we are pushing back on the myth that we need to be perfect. So it's time to redefine motherhood, not as the institution that it is, but as an empowered practice of mothering, with support, tools, and a focus on mother-centered well-being. Show our children that it is more than okay to feel sad, angry, disappointed, and that we won't be reprimanded for feeling these things. Just as every child is unique, so is every mother. When we listen and align with our highest values, our children will feel that. You do not have to love every part of mothering. That's unreasonable. Being a good enough mother means that you can let go of unrealistic expectations, perfectionism, shame, and tune into who you are without comparison to other mothers. Motherhood is about seasons. So there are going to be creative seasons, productive seasons, exhausted seasons, good enough seasons, social and antisocial seasons, I've got these seasons and I've only just made it through seasons. Peel it all back and embrace it all. From moment to moment, anything can change and we can adapt. Let's not silence our struggles, but rather work with them, honor our needs. Know that the moment you are currently in, you may never be in again, and show gratitude for that growth. May I invite you to consider these questions. You might want to press pause and get out your journals and write down your thoughts and feelings as they come to you. What brought you to become a mother? What did you expect motherhood to be? What part of this is real and what part of that is imagined? How has experience changed your life? What are your needs as a mother? And by this, I'm not talking about in the context of what you need as a mother to care for your child. I'm really wanting you to sink into your needs as a mother. These questions are often overlooked, skimmed over, not given space to be reflected on. And for some women, the idea of thinking about herself in a separate context to her and her baby may seem a little odd at first, almost as if she would need to look at herself from an outsider's point of view and respond in a way that is socially acceptable for a mother. Yet for others, these prompts may bring about an outpouring of emotion and clarity. Regardless, most women will be grateful that her feelings have been considered. So I hope that you take something away from this episode. In review, just a few points. Remember that mothering in a flawed system is hard, and so at times it will feel messy and dysregulated. We were never meant to do this alone. The relationship we have with our child has two participants, the child, but also ourselves as a mother, and both need to have their needs met. We are not perfect, so at times, like in any relationship, we will not be able to meet every need of our child, but this alone does not mean that we have failed by any means. When our children observe us in our whole humanness, it helps them trust their intuition, learn that they will not get everything right, which is important for their growth, their development, and resilience in life. Above all, mama, show yourself the same compassion as you would show your child, because you two are learning and growing. It's a life journey that tells our story, not any one individual moment. I'm sending my love to all of you. Please share this episode with your mama friends, and I would love to hear your thoughts and reflections. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and that it offered something helpful to your own mothering experience. If you are a pregnant woman or know someone who is, head over to my website to receive your free copy of the postpartum checklist and contact list. And if you'd like to be better prepared for your postpartum, both practically and mentally, purchase the Peaceful Postpartum ebook, a 52-page interactive guide on what you need to know and what matters most in postpartum. And so that we can get these conversations out to more mothers, I'd be grateful if you could like, share, and review this podcast, and we'll see you next time.